TED Talk is how much do we really know about gaming? In my TED Talk, I call to the attention that society has negative connotations when it comes to gaming and why we need to change this. I first became interested in this topic after reading a book called Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. Prior to reading this book, I looked down on those who played games because I never understood how they could be so attached. Now, I won't give away any spoilers, but after reading this book, my mindset completely changed into one that was positive, to the point where I was inspired to share this with others. After doing some of my own research and talking to some passionate gamers, I was able to back up my new point of view, which I will be sharing with you today through the use of evidence, technology, images, humor, personal anecdote, and other literary devices such as a rhetorical question and an afro. Ready, player one. Blink, blink. Enemies are approaching. Turn left, look down, shoot, machine gun, blood splatters. Grunts come from behind. Sprint and duck behind the abandoned car. Triple jump into the castle. On the mission to save Princess Peach. Jump on approaching Goomba. Find the key. Unlock the door to Bowser's dungeon. Block, forward punch, backwards kick, shoot fireball, fatality. Pause. Are you sure you want to exit without saving? Games. Online games, interactive games, arcade games. Who in this room has played at least once? Look around you. In fact, most of us have gone through that phase where one game has kept us playing until 3 a.m. and the only reason it wasn't 5 a.m. was because of the demands of an angered parent or sibling that we shut that thing off. So, does that make us all gamers? When most people think of gamers, one of 3 images comes to mind. There's the frat boy, who plays GTA and whose favorite hobby consists of late-night chugging. Then, there's the PC aficionado, who maintains a minimum of 24 inches away from the computer screen at all times due to excessive weight in the abdominal area. And last but not least, the devil child, who has a serious Pokemon addiction and whose habits include aggressive eye twitching and shouting at mom. These are the negative connotations society has established when it comes to what makes a person an official gamer. In reality though, a gamer is simply someone who plays games as a hobby. And hobbies, in general, aren't bad. They bring us joy by entertaining us with some healthy levels of dopamine. In terms of games themselves, there are literally thousands out there, with a range of them in countless categories. When I was in middle school, I loved playing games like Super Mario 64 and Animal Crossing on the way home from school. Contrast that to something like League of Legends, where blasting mythical creatures and incessant keyboard clicking keeps my brother entertained for hours. The range of games goes on and on. Just like we wouldn't walk into a restaurant and instantly deem it as bad because we see a dish on the menu that we don't like, we cannot talk about games as a whole as having a negative effect. Yet, society tries to defend its stereotyping with 3 main arguments. The first is that gaming induces violence in kids. True, the idea that that violence is contagious is a scary thought. However, at this point, it is only speculation. Then there's the misconception that gaming is a solo activity that leads to lack of social drive and ability. With such a large and diverse population of gamers, gaming has now become an important means of social interaction. Companies themselves have transformed their games into initially having no social interaction to now developing things like multiplayer options with chat and open mic. And gamers themselves have also created a gaming culture where many share the same passions and interests even outside of gaming. The last claim that the public makes about gaming is that games stunt brain growth and development. This could not be farther from the truth as well. Many games require focus, perseverance, strategy, split-second interactions. Numerous studies conducted by multiple universities have shown that development of this skill set in the virtual world leads to development in the real world as well. Is this not what parents, teachers, and bosses have been trying to get us to do for years? This in itself is a change in the way our society functions. It is revolutionary because people are starting to adopt the concept of being self-motivated achievers. The claimed benefits go on and on. However, so do the negative perceptions that society has established when it comes to what makes a person an official gamer, as mentioned before. With no conclusive evidence to prove that games do either more harm than good or have more benefits than consequences, we cannot say for a fact that games are bad. But there's one thing for certain that we can say, and it is that we should not, as a society, portray games as bad. Instead, we should be open-minded. Perhaps in 20 years, when gaming has completely changed, we can be more certain of the long-term effects. But until now, we need to be patient. We need to be open-minded, and we need to be alert. We need to rethink gaming. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, let the games begin. Now it's my rationale. In part one of the course, titled Language in a Cultural Context, I explored the relationship between language and identity, language and taboo, and language and power. In order to demonstrate what I have learned thus far, I have written and presented my own TED Talk to the ISB community. In my TED Talk, I talk about how society has established negative connotations around gaming and I implore the audience to change this by being open-minded to the possibilities that games can offer in the future. By choosing this topic, I integrate all three language relationships by discussing the identity of a gamer, how gaming itself is considered taboo because of the supposed negative effects it has, and aiming to catalyze change in the mindset of others. Because of my wide range, age, and gender distribution in the audience, I chose my tone to be light at some times and more somber at others, yet informative throughout. I integrate a bit of humor and theatrics in my hook in order to capture the audience's attention. My hook also demonstrates my knowledge of gaming, as it shows that I have played games myself and have been around others who plays game as well, such as my brother, which is mentioned later on in the speech. In order to back up my points, I use examples, such as when I contrast the difference between Animal Crossing and League of Legends. I also use evidence and statistical quotes to further back up my claim, such as when I displayed the fact that 500 million people in the world play games daily. However, instead of saying this in my speech, I decided to put it on a PowerPoint in order to emphasize it and to leave it in the audience's mind even after the speech is over. Because of this, I made my technology simple and clear so that nothing else distracts from the message that is displayed on the board. I also use images when I talk about the identities of gamers, which connects back to our unit between language and identity and how images can further strengthen the message that are being said. In terms of literary devices, I use rhetorical questions such as, does that make us all gamers? In order to have the audience reflect before I answer the question myself. I also use inclusive language as exemplified when I use the word we throughout the speech to make the audience feel personal towards the topic and also have them play a role in feeling that they can change the negative perception society has. I also use an analogy between a restaurant menu and the different types of games in order to emphasize how people should not generalize games as a whole. And lastly, I use anaphora in my conclusion with we need to drive home my final message. Using these different strategies, I hope to change the fundamental beliefs and values society has when it comes to gaming by starting by changing the mindset of those around me, which is the ISB community. Because this was a TED Talk, I was able to not only use the power of language, but my delivery in order to stress my message. In conclusion, I would like to reiterate my points of the TED Talk, which was to call attention to the fact that society has negative connotations surrounding gaming, and then why we need to change this and be open-minded. I hope that by doing this, I was able to change the perceptions of those in this room that might have previously thought negatively of games, or strengthen those perceptions who were previously unbiased towards games. I feel that gaming is a topic that is often debated and discussed, and therefore I hope that this was able to shed light on the topic in general, as well as possibly inspire those to go out and discover their own parts of gaming and perhaps even revolutionize what we know about gaming today. Thank you.
Questions for Kimberly?
Second on the back.
Anyone else? All right. Nice job.
How do I make it? But like this.
Oh.
Christine.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, yeah.